Cherry's three. Johnny Walker. Mashing up against control. His shot. Bruce score, they score. They tie the game up 2-2. Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls off. And Arizona State wins it. Edwards pulls off. And buries the block. Daniels takes the shot for Kirby.
Welcome into Pitchfork Lunch. Sorry about that. Got to get myself in the studio or we have no show. I'll get this technology thing down one day. I am Michael Caratanudo at Diablo00 on Twitter is where you can find me, find the show, as well as Facebook and YouTube. Go to the YouTube at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 on YouTube and subscribe. If you missed yesterday's volleyball hour, you missed out. It was such a phenomenal, conversation with Claire Jeter, the team's middle blocker, who is just having such a great season. And not just, a season X's and O's. We got a little information about who's funny and who's we're still getting to the bottom of who's the biggest prankster on the team. And it looks like Coach Van Neal may have kept his own name out of it because there's been a little bit of confirmation from Jelly Sear and now Claire Jeter. And then we had assistant coach, again, a local Arizona player in Presley Anderson, who's assistant coach, played at Hamilton High School. As many of you know, we talked to her yesterday after Claire Jeter. So it's just awesome getting that perspective from, being a player going into coaching. And she was a volunteer coach last season. Coach Van Neal came in and they had a great conversation. And it's so awesome to have Presley Anderson in the program. Again, so very stoked. So if you missed that, again, like I say, shame on you, but I got you covered. See, I understand people have stuff going on. I understand you might miss it, but that's why I have you covered here on Pitchfork Lunch. So you go to YouTube again at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC005 on YouTube. Subscribe. All the shows are there. You can go back and watch. Again, we've had JJ Van Neal on. He was the first coach to come on Pitchfork Lunch. That was awesome. We've had JJ Van Neal on. Coach-wise, we've had Graham Winkworth of the women's soccer team, who is just crushing it as well this year. Willie Bloomquist, the baseball head coach, in his second season now as head coach for the Sun Devils. And who else? Not how dare I forget? We've had Natasha Adair on, who is the women's head basketball coach, her second season. Great interview with her. Also, Jason Mons, the tight ends coach for Arizona State football, has been on. That's just coach-wise. So, again, we're expanding and growing. Again, it's branching out. Player-wise, again, had Claire Jeter on yesterday. Volleyball-wise, we've had her on, Claire Jeter on, Mary Schroll, Roberta Habello, Jelly Sear, have all been on the program as they are, again, just trucking through their season. And big matchups this weekend. We talked about it yesterday. Cal tonight at 6 p.m. at Desert Financial Arena. Get on out there and again, cheer the team on. They had a 5-setter with Cal, so you know the Golden Bears would love nothing more than to get revenge here on the Sun Devils home court. Then Sunday at noon, Stanford coming in, the number 3 team in the country. And ASU, as we know, lost to them in 3 sets last time. So look, get on out there Sunday at noon. It's homecoming weekend now. Again, a little volleyball, a little football, can't go wrong. So it is, again, homecoming's always an exciting week. But yes, get on out there. Get to the football game tomorrow evening against Washington State. They have dropped 2 in a row. I've talked about that. Coach Dillingham and his team, again, just keeping them going. And that performance against Washington last week, no silver lining, no moral victory, but that is a huge building block to build off of. I mean, we saw what this defense can do. And yes, on Pitchfork Lunch, homer or not, I've said all year long, this defense with where they've started and what they've done, they can ball with anybody in the country. And that is facts. For those that don't pay attention to the team, really, they would be like, oh, they see ASU's record. But yeah, defensively, they can ball with anybody in the country. And, you know, for the rest of the country, holding the number 5 team in the nation without an offensive touchdown was the coming out party. Hey, but nonetheless, that's fine. The rest of the country saw it now, but how can you follow it up? And, you know, I mean, like you said, we heard from Coach Ward. Actually, I think I'm going to we'll hear from Coach Ward again. I know I played it the other day. Those of you that missed it, again, we'll have Coach Ward's sound from Wednesday's practice and the last, day of media availability. But nonetheless, which, again, there's a lot of availability, which is absolutely awesome. But I digress. If you look at again, just how they've played, and from the beginning of the season, yes, the Fresno State game, oddly enough, was the clunker. Injuries. I mean, well, the injuries started, and then before that, but piled up in that game as well. But it's a team that had 5 turnovers and gave up 15 points off 5 turnovers. And I will go back to this. I will sound like a broken record, Pitchfork Lunchers. When you have a turnover and the offense turns it over on the minus side of the 50, which means in your end of the field, and they have a 3-play 0-yard drive, which nets them a field goal. Like, I can't stress enough the defense still playing hard, and that wasn't the first turnover of the game. So the defense, again, holding them to 5 field goals on all those turnovers. It was insane. But every week, I mean, Cal definitely could have won that game. Didn't. There's a loss. Again, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Yes, we all know. We all know. Cal and Colorado back, and even Oklahoma State. Go back as far as Oklahoma State. I mean, they had the lead. And defensively, there were breakdowns on third down, but overall, they were stumping Oklahoma State, and they had the lead. But Oklahoma State just, finished it out. So that part was up. But I mean, if you go back, okay, Oklahoma State. Then Fresno State, again, it was just a clock. Could they have won that game? Sure. With that many turnovers, never going to happen. And yes, you can quote me on that. In football, if you have what, seven, 8 turnovers. Yeah, what was that? Let's look at that real quick. They had, I know at least 5. It could have been 7. It was, sorry. Didn't know I was going to go there. So, eight turnovers. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Johnson is bad. Got to get better than that. 8 turnovers. And yes, they did get shut out 29-0. But I mean, 8 turnovers and you give up 15 points off those turnovers. It's backwards. It's almost like a sideways backwards column. Like when somebody says, "Oh, you look good today." If you don't throw the today on, right? Because then it's like, oh, so every other day I look absolutely terrible. All right. I mean, whoever decided to first include, "Oh, you look good today," with the compliment, yeah, and that just took off. And people can say, well, it's just maybe they did something different. It separates it. Again, hey, you look good. You don't have to add the today part. So yeah, it's a sideways compliment. I get it, but you look at it literally the defense being dominant in that way, because 8 turnovers and then you have 15 points. So back there. So Fresno State, again, with all those turnovers, though, you're not winning in college, in any level of football. I don't even care if it's Pee Wee and there's 8 turnovers. The team you're playing has 7 turnovers. Chances are they won. But that being said, so you go to the Fresno State SC. That's a 5-point game in the fourth quarter. 6-point game. 6-point game in the fourth quarter. And yeah, SC did win 42-27. But I mean, when you look at that, to that point, it was a winnable game. 42-28, not 27. Sorry, 42-28. But it was 21-13 at half. And then it was 27-21 going into the fourth. Yeah, so a 6-point game. And look, Caleb Williams, again, made the plays. He is a tough man to Notre Dame picked him off 3 times. And I know Utah, he had 2 more interceptions, but still, he's a phenomenal quarterback. The talent, it's ridiculous. Coach Ward said it best, called him a magician. So you look at that, 42-28. Then you turn around and go to Cal, and it's 24-21. And had they, only quarter they didn't score in was the second quarter. Cal scored 3 points. Had they kicked a field goal in that quarter, that game would have went to overtime. So, I mean, Cal, definitely a winnable game. Although Jay Knott, rush-wise, again, he did have 29 carries for 165 yards. Talked about that young man a lot last year. But winnable right there, 24-21. And then you turn around and come, and Colorado, who had just had a big comeback against SC, but fell short after they got down huge, 27-24. And ASU's going in for or ties it, right? They tie it with under a minute to go, 50 seconds. And then after the kickoff, the first play, and mistakes happen, but the one glaring mistake is miscommunication and a blown coverage. And Colorado got 45 yards on their first play, so they were able to kick the winning field goal. But I mean, Elijah Badger, that game. I mean, Trent Bourget threw for 335 yards and a touchdown. Elijah Badger had 12 catches for 134 yards. That's what we expect from. That's what a lot of people expect to see from Elijah Badger. I mean, coming off of last year, but just, I mean, the talent of this young man, the patterns, everything, like just so smooth. So Colorado, back-to-back weeks, you have 3-point losses. Again, I'm not saying it's a silver lining. I'm just saying that it's that. And then you have a bye, which was nice. And Washington got a 3-point win over Oregon. And then you go into Washington, right? And you lose 15-7. You're up 7-3 at halftime. Both teams shut each other out in the first quarter. But the fact they shut Washington out in the first quarter, phenomenal. 7-3 at halftime. And then Washington shut ASU out in the second quarter, or in the second half, in the second half. But ASU shut Washington out in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, they got the pick six and a field goal. So no offensive touchdowns for the number 5 team in the country, 15-7. And that is a very winnable game. So this is a team that can very, very easily be 3-4 right now. Actually, I would say 4-3. I know Oklahoma State, but I mean, the Oklahoma State game, well, they pulled away in the end. So let's just say 3-4 right now. And I mean, again, it's not about silver lining. It's not about moral victories. You do have to sell those to a point as a coach. And I will always say that at any sport, any level. As you're building culture, yes, it is about producing wins. You want to win. You are playing like Kenny Dillingham. I mean, look, Herm Edwards said you play to win the game. Again, love that quote. But Kenny Dillingham says, if you're not going out there to win, what are you doing? I mean, he's challenged his, players, even I'm sure his staff. If you're not going out there to perform, to win, why are you coming out there? Why? So, look, big homecoming game against Washington State. And the Cougs have lost 2 in a row. So in week 7, Washington State, they got absolutely bludgeoned. They scored 6 points in the first quarter, and Arizona, who is 4-3 right now and 2-2 in the Pac-12, shut them out the rest of the game. And, Arizona, again, they put up 10 points in the first, second, and third quarter, so it's 30-6 at the end of 3. It's 20-6 at halftime. It's 36 and 3, and then they put up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Did Arizona. So ASU, you look at that, and you see Cam Ward was 22 at 30, 192 yards, and an interception. They just bottled him up. And then running-wise, he had 8 carries for 4 yards. That obviously includes sacks because Arizona, they did have 2 sacks in the game. Or sorry, that team down south. What am I doing? What is wrong? It's Friday. It's fun. Look, I know it's Casual Friday and Friday, Fun Day Friday. Sunday Fun Day, but still, I'm sorry, Pitchfork Lunchers. I will do my 20 push-ups for calling them that team down south. And then Jaden Delora has been banged up, and then Noah Fifita, their quarterback, that game was 34 of 43, 342 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he didn't throw a pick. Rayshawn Luke, 10 carries for 71 yards, 1 touchdown. Jonah Coleman, 11 carries for 71 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. DJ Williams, 12 for 37, 1 rushing touchdown. So 5 touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns. 5 rushing touchdowns for Arizona, who rushed for 174 yards to Washington State's 35. And yes, everybody says to me, in a pass happy, you still have to run the ball. If you're not running the ball and literally they just have 4 guys up there stopping you, maybe 5, and other linebackers are dropping back in coverage, it makes it really easy to intercept passes. Let's just say that. So Washington State only rushed for 35 yards. 234 total yards for the game because they passed for 199. I said Cam Ward was 22 at 30 for 192. John Mateer, pardon me, was 1 for 3 for 7 yards. And he also threw an interception. They had 2 interceptions that game. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's just it's just a beatdown, and everything Arizona did worked. That's 25 push-ups. Everything that team from down south did worked. But yeah, so 2 weeks ago, anyway, the Cougs lose to them 44-6, right? Then they turn around, and they may have been looking ahead to their Week 8 game against the Ducks, but that was their fault. And in this day and age of competition and talking heads, if look, people know me. If any of my favorite teams, if they've lost to a team that they were better than and should have won and they lost, if you're looking ahead in this day and age, if you're looking ahead ever, just had a great conversation the other day with Sun Devil alum, volleyball alum, we're talking volleyball, and she is a head coach at O'Connor High School for the women's volleyball team, for the girls volleyball team. Sun Devil alum Amanda Burbridge about, piggybacking off attention to detail, but just when you overlook anybody, if you get one person getting it, okay, you can kind of get them right. Team can get them right. But a whole team kind of like, oh, we're going to this and that. We just got to show up and do what we do. That other team is going to punch you in the face. And we were talking about that. And it's one of those things where if they were looking past that team down south to Oregon in this day and age, it's not an excuse. You're pathetic. You're pathetic as a competitor. And I will always stand by that. I don't think you're a bad person. I don't think you're a terrible person. I'm saying from being in the arena of being an athlete and a competitor, you are pathetic as a competitor because you're not respecting your thing. And look, I'm not even, and people say, well, what about the coaching staff? If the coaching staff is preaching that to them, which I doubt, I would go on I would bet a month's worth of pizza money that coaches are never selling that fact to their team, because you have somebody lining up across you, whether it's football, basketball, volleyball, obviously baseball, a little different, but no, even baseball, if you're just thinking, as a pitcher, this, lineup is this or that, and you're going to have your way, like it's a wake up call. So yeah, football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, hockey. If a coaching staff is saying, oh, yeah, you guys are going to win, you're better than them, not that they're not boosting their confidence, saying, but this is what you have to do to win. If they have any inclination their team is overlooking it, they're not. So to me, and as a coaching staff, I would throw it in, because I've said it to coaches before, not that they were doing it in conversations with them. And again, not coached at the highest level, but in coaching, instill that in the players. Like, no, you would be pathetic as a competitor if you don't respect who's across from you. They are trying to beat you, but they're trying to do a job. And if you sit there and go in with that attitude, you've already given them the edge. So yeah, as in any sport, you would be pathetic as competitors if you overlooked them. And then you have the nerve to, of course, somebody's going to ask it. I would never ask it, because, well, I shouldn't say never ask it. I would ask it, because then in writing and or talking about, I would absolutely hammer people as competitors, because having grown up playing sports and playing at, yes, not at the professional level, but I'm just saying, playing through and into college, like, you respect who's across from you. And even if you're better than them, even if you're, if you're beating them, or there's always a respect to the game. But again, if Washington State was looking past that, well, they got their butts handed to them. And then Oregon, it was 3-3 at the end of the first. It was 17-13 at halftime in favor of Oregon. Then it was 31-16 at the end of the third. And then Washington State outscored them 8-7 to make it 24. They got 24, but it was 38-24. They lost to the Ducks. And so, yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's one of those things, and that's what ASU has on their hands. But yes, Cam Ward, I mean, this team is looking for a big bounce back. Yes, they see ASU's record. Yes, if they turn the tape on defensively all season, they're, they probably have their I'll go cheesy once for you. They have their cougar ears kind of perked up. The offense does, because what this defense has done. And if they didn't think this defense was, anything, they just kept the number 5 team in the country out of the end zone. No offensive touchdowns. Yes, the pick 6, but no offensive touchdowns. Michael Penix Jr., who's my heavy favorite to win the Heisman. And so that to me is ASU's going to have to deal with that. I mean, they're not going to be in a good mood losing 2 in a row, but ASU coming off a game so close to just taking down number 5 in the country, and Washington has, I think Washington running away to the Big Ten. They're not going to schedule ASU anytime soon, because just if you saw the game in the graphic, it was insane. Like last time Washington was number 5, not just in the top 5, but number 5. And they matched up with ASU. ASU beat them 13-7. They have struggled mightily in Tempe, which, hey, man, you come to Sparky's house, it's on you. But yeah, so for Washington State, that will be huge. Defense, again, what they can do, and Cam Ward, he definitely pardon me, he definitely is, again, a little bit different than Michael Penix Jr., but we'll hear from Coach Ward on that. And he, but again, a very talented quarterback. And you all Pitchfork Lunchers know how I feel about this conference. Quarterbacks top to bottom, best in the country. It's not even close. Well, the women's soccer team, it was a tough one. But they fell 2-0 to the Utes on the road in Salt Lake City, which again is always tough to play in. But yeah, no, that was tough, because they definitely, again, you want to stack up these wins, and they lost 2-0, pardon me, like I said, to Utah. The Utes, well, they scored 1 in each half. The first goal came in the 8th minute, so early on, Kelly Bullock got the goal, and then the second came just out of halftime in the 50th minute, and Taliana Calfusi got her 6th goal of the season. That was Bullock's 4th goal. But yeah, 7 total shots for ASU, only 1 shot on goal, 9 shots for Utah. And I mean, they were peppering the goal as 9 shots, but 7 on goal. ASU with 5 saves, Utah only with the 1. Corner kicks, ASU actually won a corner kick battle. They had 8 total for the game. Utah only had 2, and then ASU had 8 fouls for the game to Utah's 3. I'm not saying home cooking, no, but I mean it's look, they play Colorado next. And again, they definitely need that victory. And that's only the second time this season, kids, that that they've allowed multiple goals and failed to score. For allowing multiple goals and failing to score for only the 5th time this season. But it was a difference in the game. So we'll dive more into that. We're going to step aside. When I get back, though, talk a little more football, homecoming game tomorrow. We'll hear from Brian Ward, talk a little bit of football, and then we will obviously jump into volleyball's big matchup against Cal tonight. Presley Anderson started at Cal, went to Baylor. She talked about it. And they got him in 5 the first time. So, a little more again. And she's obviously very dialed in. Talking to her yesterday, I mean, both her and Claire Jeter were talking to Presley Anderson yesterday. It was great. So we'll step aside. More coming up here on Pitchfork Lunch. So take a few bites, take a few sips of your drink, and I will be right back. And we will hear from Coach Ward, the defensive coordinator of the Sun Devils, here on Pitchfork Lunch. Oh, yes, I am back on Pitchfork Lunch. I am Michael Caratonito. Pardon me, at Diablo00 is where you can find me on Twitter. Also see the show live, Facebook, YouTube. If you've missed any of the shows, again, I'm not going to go into the long soliloquy again, or as my buddy, as our guys on the Sports Arena say, Eric Wilson, my monologue, but YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. You can go back and watch again. Talk to a lot of coaches, and we're going to have a lot more on players-wise. Gotten players on. Going to have more on the show. So go to the YouTube at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC 005 and subscribe. And again, you can catch up. I want you to watch live, and yes, soon, hopefully soon, while you're driving around, you'll be able to listen to. Working on that. But yes, football, Washington State. The Sun Devils do take on the Cougars, which fell out of the top 25, the AP top 25. The college football CFP, the playoff rankings come out this week. But yeah, Washington State, actually, they fell out the week before when they lost, when they lost to that team down south. Caught myself. I'm at 25 push-ups. I do not want to do any more. But yeah, look at the Pac-12 real quick in the top 25. Washington still at 5. Oregon, they went up one spot. They're at 8. Utah is at 13. And Oregon is going into Salt Lake City this week. So we'll see what happens there because they both have one loss. But whoever wins that definitely still in the hunt, but chasing the Huskies in that manner. Pardon me. So yeah, Washington at 5, Oregon at 8, Utah at 13 are the Utes, the Bruins at 23, the Trojans at 24. Right now in the rankings, the AP top 25. So but yes, like I said, we are gonna, for those of you that missed Wednesday, we're gonna hear from Brian Ward, the defensive coordinator for the Sun Devils. Pardon me. But the defensive coordinator for the Sun Devils. And this was him after practice on Wednesday. Again, getting ready for Cam Ward. Obviously wrapping up the performance against Washington, but now getting ready for Washington State and prepping for Cam Ward. So without further ado, here is the defensive coordinator, Brian Ward.
Keeps on his feet. He bends his knees a little bit. That may go 90, 96, the other way. So that could add a huge impact on the game. So, really the point, I like to say statistics are really for losers, okay? Because it's really the only guys that look at it, right? But at the same, because you want to win football games, and this is as a team sport as any. And you're talking about three phases: offense, special teams, and defense. All three phases got to come together to win a game. So one phase can score 40 points, but if you give up 42, you're going to lose the game. You're not going to get a good feeling from it. So, these guys care, and we're going to continue to build on it.
Somebody had said Washington's not going to score an offensive touchdown. You've been taking that, right? Like that.
Yeah, that would have been hard to believe, going in. But at the same time, I believe in these guys. And, the process doesn't change. Our process is the same every week. So, I continually harp to our guys and harp it all week. It's not about them. It's about us. It's not about our opponents. It's about what we do. It's not about what they do. It's about what we do. And our guys really bought into that. And they really took it like, hey, it's a one-on-one deal. All I got to do is my job. And if I do my 111th and, and I'm consistent, things are going to work out.
What about playing Washington State? Obviously, I know you're probably going to say it's just another game, right?
It really is. It really is. Every week, it's funny. I've been asked it all week. Like, is this, this game? You got a little extra. And every week I don't know how to put any more. You know what I mean? So I don't know how to put any more energy or effort into our game planning or into coaching these guys cumulatively or individually. Just us as a staff, we just follow a process, and we're going to just continue to follow that process. We're still laying the groundwork, we believe, and trying to build what our expectations are on our side of the ball, and we're going to continue to move forward. So Washington State is just our next opponent. Personally, it's probably the only difference is I know a lot of those players, and I got a chance to coach a lot of those guys. Really, if you compare Washington and Washington State, I've worked with several of those guys, a couple of those guys at different places, but I had a lot of friends on the Washington staff as well, and that I have a deep history with, including the head coach. So, really, what makes this one a little different is just our familiarity with those guys. Are going to be, putting on their pads and helmets, and I know what those guys are about, and I know what their culture is about, and I know how hard those guys play and the pride that they put into it, and that's probably the only difference, really.
Yeah, and Coach Ward, your defense has played lights out each and every week. What would you say is like your coaching philosophy? Is it like necessarily rushing the passer, or just playing deep coverage?
Well, it's just really situational defense. We're trying to keep the ball in front of us, trying to stop the run. We get an opportunity to hit the quarterback and get after the quarterback. We're going to do that. And this fly is a problem.
It's been dive bombing everybody.
I wonder if it's a mole. Okay, trying to get information. Just help us fly to watch this YouTube or on YouTube, whatever. But no, we're going to continue to be and do what we do, and on regular downs, we're going to try to keep the ball in front of us and fit up the routes and take away the deep balls and get people to third down. We get them to third down, we're going to affect the quarterback and or try to change his eyes with real pressure, simulated pressure, and then we got to play great defense in the red zone. It's really every week we're trying to do that. And what was exciting about last week is we laid the, we're continuing to lay the foundation, but it was like in every situation our guys were able to execute, and now we have a standard, and we're going to continue to try to uphold that standard. And if we don't, we're going to know where we need to correct things.
Coach, speaking of the standard,
those turnovers, everyone was obviously waiting for those to come, and they finally came. Do you think that can sort of be like a watershed moment, saying, "Hey, we can finally do this. We're over the hump"?
Yeah, and that's a great question. In my experience, it really is. Right? It really can affect everybody. Hey, this really works. You know what I'm saying? So again, like responding to your question is, like our red zone defense, our goal line defense, our third down defense, our stopping the run, our keeping the ball in front of us for play actions. I mean, last week we literally had examples of us doing that, against a good football team. So now the expectation is this is who we are. This is what we want to be. This is how we do things.
Coach, you say, I mean, to piggyback off that, turnovers, I mean, come in bunches. Obviously, that 4-1 game, the first two interceptions. How, I mean, like I said, I know it's a tough loss, but when you get back in the room with the DBs, how more pumped are they after a performance like that?
Fortunately, we got a great group, and I'm fortunate to coach those guys. And being able to kind of draw things together and kind of connect the dots, and those guys seeing how everything fits off each other, and really the systematic way and the process that we do things. I mean, those guys are just always, they're really hungry for knowledge, and they're hungry to continue to develop and move forward. I'm not going to say it's like more so. I think these guys just love playing football, and they really enjoy playing in this defense.
Going against the quarterback like Cam Ward, you've had success in previous weeks against Shador, against Michael Penix last week. Does that sort of ease the preparation this week, knowing he's also a running quarterback?
Cam is the most dynamic runner one to see. Okay, I mean, I would rather play the guy at USC than Cam, because Cam, he really is. I mean, he's very similar magician. Now, Cam is a gunslinger too. I mean, he's dynamic, with the ball in his hands. So it's really hard. I mean, him and the guy from Washington, they're completely different football players. So, our approach has to be different.
Coach, how do you think just you, Coach Cooper, and Trey, just all coming here together, the experience from last year, coming here this year, has helped your defense get to where it is?
I think everything's affected it, and I think none more than that. Coop knows he's my checks and balances. He's a guy that he's going to constantly ask questions. I mean, the guy's been coaching for 15, 16, 18 years, however long it's been, and I mean, he's in my office 8 to 10 times a day, and he constantly wants to make us better, and we speak the same language. He's coaching this defense since 2008. Or similar styles of defense, so he knows it. He's a guy I just trust, and that was him coming with. I mean, it was or coming here, regardless, because Kenny wanted him regardless. It was it was great for everybody. And to have a guy like that as a coordinator is it's invaluable. I've been places where you don't have that guy. You're literally kind of steering the whole ship by yourself. So it's been great. And then having Trey and having a guy that can get everybody else right. He's really the mouthpiece for the whole defense. Okay, he's the microphone. He can get everybody right. He's a leader, and not only in his actions, but he chooses to lead out front, and it's really fun to watch.
Very aggressive with the A-gap pressure. There's a lot of zero coverage in that game. How's it, like, how much pride do you have in the way the guys have executed?
Some people like to call it cover 4. Some people like to call it cover 0. Okay, so I want to make sure here, just keeping it real there. But no, they like to be aggressive, and most kids like to be aggressive. So we're going to pick and choose our moments like we always do, and if you really watch the film, you're going to go, wow, we really didn't do anything that we don't do. You know what I mean? In that game, it was just we were able to really execute at a high level in those situations.
You said earlier that the approach has to be different against Cam Ward. So what do you differentiate for your preparation against him?
Just knowing like when and where and how he responds and how he's going to react to pressure or pressure shows. he's a dynamic guy. So even whether you bring pressure or not, he's a guy he's gonna create. Okay, and if someone's not open initially, he's a guy that's he's gonna try to make his guys get open. And these receivers do as good a job of getting open on scrambles as anybody in the country.
And then on the other side, Elijah O'Neal got a lot more playing time and really produced. What went into sort of playing him more, and what were how happy were you with his performance?
Yeah, Clayton Smith got put out in
Yeah.
the first. I think it was the second quarter of the game, first third down, second quarter of the game. I'm sorry, second quarter of the game, the first third down in the second quarter, and it was just opened up an opportunity for Elijah. Elijah's continuing to get better. He's continuing to develop. He's a guy that we're going to depend on as we move forward this season and in the future.
Just talking about Trey, I was just talking about him. Incredible character. What have you learned from this year, just at ASU compared to last year, and just how he's elevated himself?
Not much. I mean, he's really pretty much the same guy. He's always bringing energy. He's a really positive guy. He has control of his attitude, as we all do, and he just chooses to wake up in the morning with a smile on his face. And he brings that attitude here, and he knows what we're trying to do here, and he knows that this is a process. And he's a guy that's going to brighten everyone's day, and he's going to lead. He's going to lead from the front in everything he does.
How do you feel like he's inspired the guys around him?
I mean, like I said, just a great attitude. You know what I mean? Just people look at him, they see how he responds to adversity, how he responds to a good play, to a bad play. His demeanor really never changes.
Yeah.
And that is defensive coordinator Brian Ward. I am not. But yeah, I mean, you heard him there and fired the cameraman. Yeah, that fly that was around. So, quick funny story. That fly that kept bugging Coach Ward kept coming around and kept getting me. So, I was trying to shoo it away, and I had turned my phone, and then Coach Ward, we were upside down. It was like being in the Twilight Zone. But yeah, fire the cameraman if you can't, out battle a fly. No, but I digress. All kidding aside, I digress. Yeah, you heard him right there. I mean, it's just, the way the defense was playing, like, he was asked, if anybody would have said, you were going to do this to Washington. He's like, yeah, that would have been really hard to believe, knowing who Washington is. And again, being at Washington State, previously going against, obviously, the new regime at Washington last year, Kalen DeBoer, obviously Michael Penix Jr. comes in, but yeah, so look, he said it's, and yes, Clayton Smith unfortunately got the targeting foul again, but guys stepped up defensively. They just balled out. Ro Torrance and Shamari Simmons with the first two interceptions of the season. So yeah, it's, but yeah, I mean, going forward, like you said, it's a different matchup. Like I was saying, against Cam Ward, not that Michael Penix Jr. can't scramble and run, but pardon me, Cam Ward can scramble, but again, just kind of extend the play a little bit. And then if he has to take off, he can definitely do it. So again, keeping him in the pocket, being disciplined, and all things that, Coach Ward, and he's talking about AJ Cooper's linebackers coach, who has been with him, and the way the linebackers have just grown this season, and the way they're playing. And it helps to have, obviously, Trey Brown, who transferred from Washington State to Arizona State, with them as well, a guy that he understands it and knows what they want to get done. But just even talking to him coming off the field, he's actually practicing this week. Washington State, I don't mean actually in a bad way, but able to practice. Sorry, that's what I was mean, because being banged up, and but he was at practice coaching the linebackers up before. So it's I mean, yeah, like I said, great to see him out there. And then he's talking about Trey and having Coach Cooper with them, who understands like what they want to get done, the kind of guys they're looking for in their system that can get it done. But absolutely awesome. So homecoming game tomorrow. And that game is at, I will tell you, hold on 1 second. I will tell you what time that game is at. I think I want to say at 5 o'clock. I want to say it kicks off at 5. I know because I said 7 last night for the volleyball game tonight, and it's actually 6. Well, I said it once, so we corrected it though. Yes, 5 p.m. That game kicks off 5 p.m. locally here. Again, homecoming, little kind of matinee game there. So get out there early. Homecoming festivities going on. Go enjoy it. But yeah, 5 p.m. is when that game does kick off. So, yes, that is at 5 p.m. But like I said, volleyball. They are taking on Cal tonight. They're the 21st ranked team in the country, by the way. And yes, they're coming off a very odd, odd because they lost. So we haven't. It's odd that losing has happened much this season. It hasn't happened much this season. So they beat Utah 3 sets. Then they lost to Colorado. Pardon me. They lost to Colorado in 3 sets. Now they're taking on Cal tonight at 6. At 6, and get on out there. I mean, talking to Claire Jeter yesterday. I mean, Shannon Shields, Claire's yeah, she's my roommate. She's one of my best friends, or she's my best friend. And she, again, even, if a point's ugly, if a point's, anything, it's just kind of one of those things where it's the coolest point. It's the best point ever, in her eyes. So yeah, it's just, again, 19-3 overall. But yeah, I mean, just the way they've played all season long. If you haven't gone out and watched them, again, I don't understand why you're not. Presley Anderson had a great point yesterday. It's homecoming. You're out and about tonight. Hop in DFA. Check them out, stay for the whole match, she's saying, but, check them out for a little bit. Sunday, come support them against number 3 Stanford. It's in Mullet Arena. It will be loud. And it's one of those things where yes, they fell to number 3 Stanford in 3 in Palo Alto. But now they have them here at home. And then they have them here at home before they head to the LA schools for the last time next Friday. They will be taking on the Bruins first, and who they swept, and then they will have the Trojans on Sunday at 3:00 local time. Yeah, they'll have the Trojans, and they on November 5th on Sunday. So, but focusing on this weekend tonight, again, Cal, they beat them in 5 last time, and after coming off a 3-set loss to Stanford. So, I mean, they're mixing it up, or just the order they play them in. But I mean, I have said so much about, you see this team play, and they are, it's just what Coach Van Neal has done. And his staff as well. Presley Anderson, and there's other assistants, but they're playing, he's shaping them in the way, he's like, hey, we have to have a faster offense. And it worked. And Claire Jeter said, a new coach coming in. You heard her yesterday. If you missed it, again, subscribe to the YouTube, go back, non-shameless plug. You can go back and watch. Again, we interviewed Claire Jeter and then Presley Anderson right after that. Absolutely phenomenal. Bringing some more of the Pitchfork Lunch Mojo. Like I've said it's 99.9999% talent and coaching, and it's 0.000001% Pitchfork Lunch Mojo when you're coming on the show. So I'm just saying, absolutely awesome. But no, the way they've been playing, like I said, Marta Levinska, obviously putting her name in the hat for Pac-12 to win the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Yes. I know. Hold on a second. I'm just saying, when you look at what she's done. Overall. She again leads the team with 327 kills and leads the team in aces with 32. One over. I know. Hey, Mary Schroll. She is not. They're very talented. Libero has 30. Shannon Shields is right there too with 29. Jelly Sear has 20. So yeah, she'd really have to go on an 8 strong, which she definitely could. I mean, but yeah, so she's a 20. But yeah, 32 aces. Leading the team in aces by 1, leading the team in kills 327. Shannon Shields, yes, your setter should do this, but 779 assists for Shannon Shields. So that's just awesome. I mean, Mary Schroll's got 74. A lot of times it's libero again. Sometimes the way if you get a team out of system and somebody runs the ball down, goes over to her, but I mean, she has 74 assists on the season, but still, I mean, 774 for your setter. That's very, very awesome. But yeah, Marta Levinska, like I said, I mean, like 327 kills, 32 aces, right? 386. Well, I don't know how you get half a point, but 386 and a half points to lead the team. Defensively, Marta Levinska, 141 digs. Again, as a hitter, I mean, Mary Schroll has 277, Jelly Sear 186, and then Shields at 164. So Levinska fourth with 141 digs. She does have 53 blocks, which is second to, of course, Claire Jeter. Talking to her 80 this season. But yeah, 53 blocks for Levinska. And yeah, you're going to be a 6 rotation player. So there are quite a few. I'll dive into that more next week after this weekend. So get on out there tonight. Sun Devil Nation, Pitchfork Lunch fans, 6 p.m. Desert Financial Arena. Kick the weekend off. Watch them take on Cal. Watch them work hard. And I'm going to say it, they should beat Cal. And they are focused. And again, coming off a loss, not too many teams I'd want to. This is definitely a team I want to see after a loss. And especially having, like Claire Jeter said it, got about 24 hours to kind of be frustrated, get it out of your system, and that's it, and move on. And they have. So, but yeah, get on out there tonight, 6 p.m., Desert Financial Arena. They will take on Cal tonight. And then number 3, Stanford, as you see there, Sunday at noon on at Mullet Arena. So, again, get on out there. It's a great homecoming weekend. Yeah, football tomorrow, like I said, 5 p.m., Mountain America Stadium, home of the Sun Devils, as they take on the Cougars and see if they can bring home another home field win, because they did the first week amidst what seems like 100 years ago now. That wonderful lightning delay. But boom! I mean, the rain didn't delay it; it was the lightning that delayed the game 2.5 hours. So yes, it was a very interesting evening. But yes, the last win for the Devils, and they're looking to beat Washington State, put them on a 3-game losing streak. So tomorrow night, 5 p.m. That's that. Tonight at 6, tomorrow at 5, and then Sunday at noon. Again, great stuff going on. I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a phenomenal weekend. Sun Devil fans, get on out there. Pitchfork Lunchers, get on out there and go to these games. Enjoy homecoming and all that good stuff that goes with it. I will see you back here Monday, as you all know. Same bat time, same bat channel. And have a great weekend. Go Devils. And yes, as always, fans, forks up.
Terry's three. It's good. Johnny Walker matching up against control. His shot. Bruce score. They score. They tie the game up 2-2. Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls off. And Arizona State wins it. Edward pulls off. And buries the puck. Takes the shot.